Meantime, we want to talk right now about a number of prominent business leaders who've been speaking out on election integrity, including Outpost Group CEO Seth Klarman, former Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer, and our next guest, billionaire entrepreneur and investor Reid Hoffman. They've signed a new business statement calling for both patience and civility surrounding the election and specifically the election results. And Reid joins us now. Of course, he is the co-founder of LinkedIn and a partner at Greylock and Reid. It's great to have you on the program this morning. How concerned are you about this issue of election integrity, but also whatever may or may not be a delay in those results being made public?
Well, very concerned, because I think that actually, in fact, given that we're living in a pandemic, people are trying to be safe, they're trying to be good to other people, trying to not create more death or more suffering. Many people are essentially voting by mail. There's some states that are voting by mail for the first time, Pennsylvania, et cetera. There's this question where, on November 3rd, with all of the ballots by mail, you won't actually have the normal, you called it on the night of November 3rd. And of course, I'm very worried that President Trump will want to just declare victory and say, hey, we don't need those vote by mail or all those kinds of things, which will lead to uncertainty. And I think the thing that we want is we want to say, no, we're a democracy. Every vote counts. Let's just get all of the mail ballots, which, by the way, all experts, all history has shown that at large scale, national level, it's always been safe and integrate, good to do. Let's just do that, and let's do it in a calm manner and expect that.
Reid, you have been a supporter of Vice President Biden for president, and you have been a very public detractor of President Trump's. President Trump, even last night, made comments about the possibility of interference in in ballots that are sent by mail. And he cited articles, and there are articles about instances of ballots and other things found in garbages and the like. What do you make of that? And what do you think the message should be to the American public about that idea? Well,
it's pretty straightforward, which is, look, did 5 ballots or 10 ballots as part of accidentally like someone dumped a basket of mail or something? And there were press that went through each of those instances. It was like 1 or 2 ballots. And when you're talking about 100 million ballots, 340 million people in the U.S., it doesn't make any difference, right? So it's like, oh, look, here's 1 ballot that looked like it was fraudulent. That doesn't make any difference at the scale of the national election. And that's, I think, classic kind of misleading. It's trying to undermine trust in our institutions, undermine trust in our democracy, undermine trust in our process. And it's destructive to America and Americans' values. And that's why I think it's so important for actually business leaders who, of course, normally try to say, hey, politics, we keep it out of the workplace. It's like, no, this isn't a politics issue. This isn't a Democrat issue. This isn't a Republican issue. This is an American issue. This is a democracy issue. This is a stability issue.
The Florida, Reid, in 2000, Florida had, it was 1,000 votes. It was 1,000 votes in Florida, and there were hanging chads. Trump won 4 years ago with a total of 70,000 votes or something in how many swing states? So what are you talking about? I mean, what do you mean 1,000 votes came out? It could be 500. And Florida was the key. The entire election hinged on Florida. What are you talking about? How can it not matter? What do you mean there's 300 million, we don't need to worry?
I was saying 300 million people.
No,
what I was saying is,
I understand, yeah. But it could be one state, unless you get rid of the Electoral College by then. Probably not likely. We're going to have to wait till next year to do that. But until you do that, it could come down to a small number of ballots.
Well, it could come down to a small number of ballots. But the instances that are used of saying, oh, here is a ballot that didn't get counted because it got thrown away, or the examples that have been used. Now, if someone figured out how to put 5,000, fake ballots in a way that, by the way, hasn't, as far as we know, in American democratic history, hasn't happened. If that happened, then of course, in the right strategic way. But that's, by the way, you're talking also in 2016 was a super close election relative to the fact that you had just enough for the Electoral College where where he'd actually lost the election by 3 million popular votes. So the question about saying every ballot, like if there was one errant ballot, then the election doesn't work. Well, the same thing will be true of also in-person voting and so forth. So it's the question that you have to look at the kind of scale of it, and you say, look, if there's 5 or 10 mistakes, that does not invalidate the process. And by the way, if you say it does, then you basically say, well, okay, all elections in American history should essentially be invalidated.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.